Alright, so we've just got home. Obviously, it's pretty dark. I've just driven in back from Rocky, and boy, do I have a story for you about the total shit show of an ANZ Super Series qualifier.
Hey everyone, I've had a few days to cool down, but still pretty disappointed in the overall happenings at the ANZ Super Series qualifier that I did in Rocky over the weekend. So there's a store down there, it's called Books and Bounties. It's just on the Bruce Highway basically, and went down there for Saturday, played in the pre-release for Dominaria United, and that was all fine. Played fairly well, ended up getting third. I lost to a Liliana, things that happen in Limited, you know. It was pretty good. Cruelty of Gix was amazing, and the wrath that I had dragged below, or whatever it's called, was quite good. So that was a good start. It was slightly overpriced compared to what I'm used to, but $4 or $5, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. And so 4 rounds, they had prize support, so good stuff overall. Initially is the key word. So given that I've come down from Mackay, I went down along with 4 others from Mackay, and there were also 4 from Townsville who had driven 9 hours just for this ANZ qualifier. So it basically is the qualifying event to get you to a ticket to the regional championship, which is held at the end of the year in November. And that was the primary reason why I was going down. I was trying to qualify because I played in the Mackay tournament and lost in the final, so managed not to get a qualification. So that is what it is. Went down, wanted to qualify. Those qualifying events, everyone and their dog knows that you always have a top 8 cut. It's automatic that we would assume that the top 8 cut was happening. There would be some rounds of Swiss, and then we would do a cut, and then we'd go to some quarters and semis and a final, depending on the player numbers. There was plenty of people there. There was 21 in the event on Sunday, and so that was what naturally we all had assumed was going to happen. We get there on Sunday. It's 9 in the morning. We're giving our deck lists. We've given our deck list. We've paid our money, and then at that point she goes, "Now, by the way, we're going to do 5 rounds, and we're not going to do a cut to top 8 because there should be a distinct, clear winner at the end of 5 rounds." Her thinking that there would be a 5-0. It is reasonably likely that that would be the case, but it's not necessarily true, and I'll kind of talk to that in a sec. So I'm there, I'm playing Is It Phoenix. Is It Phoenix is just my pet deck at the moment. I just really like playing it. I'm really, the lines work out for me. So I'm going pretty well, but unfortunately, because of the pairings, I get paired with Caleb, who's also from Mackay, and I beat him in round 1. And then I get paired with Ben, who's also from Mackay, and then I beat him in round 2. So I basically knocked out 2 Mackay people on my way to hopefully winning. But the thing is, if you don't do a cut, there is so much variance that you basically cannot lose a game and feel good about winning overall. Especially when we consider the fact that if you lose in round 1, it's pretty much impossible for you to win. And so for some of the Townsville guys, they ended up losing in round 1, and then because there was no reason for them to be there anymore, they decided to drop, which is their call. Certainly the lady at the shop wasn't happy about it. I tried to explain to her that, hey, we're here to try and qualify. If there is no, there's prize support, sure, whatever. There's top 8 prize support with the Nykthos Lens that Wizards supply, and she's doing her own prize support as well. Whatever. We're not here for that. We're here to try and qualify. They don't drive 9 hours to get a fancy land. You know, it's just not how it works. So she still didn't really like that that thought. Oh, that reminds me. One of the other things in round one that happened was most of the games had finished. So I went and watched John, who I'd played before when he came down to Mackay. So John's playing Rakdos against Mono Red, and the Mono Red player's got a frenzy. He's like reading every card. Clearly doesn't know really what his deck does, but John's stuck on 2 lands. I'm just watching. It's game 3, and it's getting pretty tight. She comes over and then gets up me and a person who's also watching for getting an unfair advantage in the tournament just by watching another game. It's absolutely ridiculous that was her position to take, but anyway. So, continuing on. I've just beaten Caleb. He's playing a cool Invoke Justice deck, Boros deck with Aurelia, and then I beat Ben on Mono Blue Spirits, and then we go to lunch and we discuss how absolute rubbish this whole situation is. But then I come back and I've got paired against the partner of the shop owner, happens to be playing Mono Red. Anyway, I win game 1 with 8 cards in the library, and then game 2 he goes Eidolon, 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 and I can't cast any spells and I die. So that is what it is. I kept 2 lands and hoping to wrath the board on turn 3, and then didn't draw lands for a little while. Definitely bummed out about that. Big sigh to be like, damn, I've just blown it basically. I've lost and there's nothing I can do now. But that wasn't quite accurate. In the next round, I played the other, so that then made that Mono Red player on 3-0, and there was one other person on 3-0 as well. He was playing Mono Black Zombies. It was an interesting deck. I ended up beating him. In game 3, he kept a 1-lander and then just got crushed, but the other games were quite interesting, back and forth. With beating the previous, with him pairing down and losing, that left only one player on 4-0. At that point, if you were going to call the tournament, it would probably have made sense. But she had declared at the start that there was going to be 5 rounds, and because there was all this issue about that and pushback from people who were trying to get her to agree to do the cut to top 8, then even though it was her partner that would have won the $250 cash prize, they ended up just doing the 5 rounds as they had previously announced. So I basically have to win my game and hope that my tiebreakers are good and the Mono Red player plays his game and loses. That is in the end what happened. So I played John from Townsville, had some close games, ended up just squeaking by with a little phoenix pecking away in the air. 3 damage a turn was enough to get the job done. Anyway, so I beat John. I also find out at that same time pretty much that Esper Greasefang has beaten Mono Red. And then that makes 4 people on 4-1. At this point, it's just like roll a dice. Who's got the best tiebreakers? In my case, I was 3% under. 3% under on opponent match win percentage, which basically cost me a qualification spot. Clearly, that's pretty frustrating. I couldn't do anything about it at that point. I couldn't do anything about what my opponents did. If there was a cut to top 8, I would have certainly been part of that cut. I ended up placing 3rd, and then I would have had a chance to go through the finals and then qualify in my own right as clear victor. Remember, earlier in the day, she said after 5 rounds, the reason why she was doing it is because there would be a clear victor. In my opinion, 4 people on 4-1 is not a clear victor at all. And so it totally did not work out how she thought it would. It was extremely frustrating for a number of us who had travelled several hours and then I was driving back on the same day, and it was just like, well, this is crap, absolutely crap. So I can say that I had a good time playing, but not a good experience at Books and Bounties in Rockhampton. I was really disappointed in how the tournament was run, and I would not be thinking of going back at any time soon under that ownership. So I guess I'll go through a bit of a deck tech to finish off, show you the deck that I was running. Might as well show you, there's my Lava Spike, if you can see it, and there's my Nykthos land. So managed to get the second one of those, working my way towards mono green with just those. The thing is, I don't know when the next qualifier I can make is going to be. Mackay is quite far away from any other place that is running tournaments. There's not one in Townsville that's going to be run. There might be a second one in Mackay, hopefully, but it's just like really hard to qualify, and so it makes it a pain to get that qualification ticket when really I should have had a chance just this weekend gone by. I played well enough to earn that chance, and then anyway. Good Games Australia I have contacted, and were investigating the circumstances around the event, so we'll see what comes of that, but at this point in time I am not qualified and have to work it out. So let's do a deck tech. Okay, so here we have it. Here is our Is It Phoenix list, and this is the list that I managed to go 4-1 with at the Rocky tournament. So unfortunately not enough to qualify, as you've already heard, but here it is. We've got 4 opt, 4 consider. That is very stock standard. Everyone does that. We have slightly more removal than normal. We're running 2 strangle, 2 lightning axe, 3 fire impulse, a flame blessed bolt, and a lava coil. Flame blessed bolt basically to kill Thalia on turn 2, and then through the tax, and then not be able to get it back with extraction specialist, and then lava coil for the green matchups to exile the troll. Spell Pierce is in there. I begrudgingly put Spell Pierce in, but it was actually very, very good. So happy with the 1 Spell Pierce. I can see why people are playing 2 of them across the main and the side. So we have Ledger Shredders. We've gone 4 Ledger Shredder and then 2 Thing in the Ice. Thing in the Ice is quite good to turn the corner, but I really, really like Ledger Shredder as a blocker in some matchups, but also to connive away the Phoenix, because we don't have that many ways to discard the Phoenix in our if it's in our hand in the main deck. We do have 2 Charter Course though, and this was the last change I made. Right here, we made a change to go strategic planning, a 1 of, and then 3 pieces of the puzzle. Most people I see are doing 4 pieces, but I ended up going, I don't like the 3 mana cost. I like the advantage that it gives me, and I like how it fills the graveyard, so Treasure Cruise and whatnot become better, but sometimes I just really want to reanimate the Phoenix, or I really want to cast a second spell to connive with Ledger Shredder, and strategic planning helps me do that a lot better than pieces does. Anyway, continuing on, we obviously have the 4 Phoenix, that's the main card in the deck, and then we have, well, arguably, because then we have 4 Treasure Cruise, and Treasure Cruise is really what makes the whole thing hum. It's so fun to play 4 Treasure Cruise, and Game 2 and Game 3, it's so disappointing when you have to cut it because people are hating your graveyard because of the Phoenix and also the Cruise. We do run 1 Temporal Trespass and 1 Galvanic Iteration, and that's 40 cards in our main deck. That's with a bit of an asterisk though, because in our land base we are running 1 Shatterskull Smashing. I thought potentially it might be good in the Azorius matchup, but it's also a land that you can hit off a piece of the puzzle, and it's being able to be cast for 2 mana. I really hate Spikefield Hazard, and then I can't ever see myself casting Seagate Restoration, which is some of the other options that I've seen, because people want to maximize their spell count for the connive trigger as well. We are running slightly different situation up the top here as well. We've only got the one island. I have gone with a Den of the Bugbear instead, as you can see right there. 2 halls, 1 den, and Ottawara are the kind of value lands, and Den of the Bugbear was actually quite good and probably won me the game in my matchup against Rakdos, and ended up the extra blocker that you gain, or the extra attacker, can be very helpful. We have 4 Spy Bluff Canal, 4 Steam Vents, 4 Riverglide Pathway, and 2 Stormcarved Coast to make 20 lands. We ended up playing pretty well, but we did have to mulligan a fair bit, so we did go to 5 on 2 occasions and actually won both games on 5. So interesting that we managed to achieve that, but that is our main deck, and I really enjoyed playing the deck, so I hope you have enjoyed seeing it and kind of hearing the thoughts behind some of the numbers. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post them below. Here I've got the sideboard drawn out for you, so you can kind of see the general idea. We do have an unlicensed hearse. I don't see that many Phoenix lists playing it, but I think it's good to have in the mirror. Not that I've played a mirror in a while. I did play it in the Mackay one. But anyway, we've got a hearse, we've got 2 abrades, we have 1 mystical dispute. That was the card that ended up getting cut initially for a 3rd disdainful stroke. See, there's only 2 there, and that's because I ended up deciding that, based on the players that I'd seen, I didn't think green, mono green, or really Azorius Control were going to be big in the metagame share, and so I ended up cutting one of those for a 2nd Rending Volley. I think that was the right call in that situation, but I think 3 Disdainful Stroke is probably good in just general against what seems to be the meta. I do have 1 Anger of the Gods. That was the card that killed 3 Eidolons, but it took me to 4 to do that, and then I was just dying to burn spells anyway. And then this is kind of the green package, those Disdainful Strokes. And then we have the Crackling Drakes and the Ether Gust and the Thing in the Ice. So the other thing about this plan, this is my Rakdos plan and my Azorius Control plan. Saheeli, 2 Saheeli Sublime Artificer. It makes servos whenever you cast a non-creature spell, and then you can -2 to make those servos become the copy of a creature you control. Which means if you have a servo which doesn't have Summoning Sickness, and then you played a Crackling Drake, say it has 15, 20, 10, regardless, big amount of power, you can then immediately make your servo a Crackling Drake and swing in for a huge chunk. I didn't get to do that. Saheeli got Thought Seized, or I didn't draw them at the same time, but I really like that kind of idea, and it at least works well in theory. So I guess we'll see in practice in the long term whether that works out for me. I did go up. My previous sideboard had only 1 abrade, but I felt I really needed it against Unlicensed Hearse, which we're seeing more and more of. And so there you have it. There's the sideboard for my Is It Phoenix list, and I hope you have enjoyed this video and can understand some of the frustrations, but also just get around how awesome Is It Phoenix is.
4-1, no cut.
I'll probably block it.